remind everyone that this is a regularly called meeting. The notice of the time, place, and agenda of the meeting has been provided to our local news media, to each member of the governing body, and has been posted on the city webpage and also State Public Meetings webpage. So I'd like to thank everybody for being here, and especially the councilman. We'll go ahead and do roll call, starting with Councilman Dave Labor. Here. Councilman Dustin White. Here. Councilman Baird. Here. Councilman Waite. Here. And Councilman Burdick. Here. All right. To get started, we'll go ahead and we've asked Councilman Baird to give us a prayer, and after his prayer we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. We do have some scouts from Troop 255. Which one is in charge down there? Would you like to choose somebody to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance after the prayer?
Yeah.
Stetson. All right. So, Councilman Baird.
Okay. Our dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful to be gathered here today to meet as a council and to discuss the affairs of the city, and we ask Thee to please bless us tonight that we may conduct the business in harmony with Thy will and the will of the citizens here in Roosevelt. We're grateful for this wonderful city, and we're grateful for the many blessings that are afforded to us by living here, and we pray that we will continue to work hard and do what we can to develop and bring prosperity and happiness to the people who live here. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Stetson, if you'll come forward and get us started.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Really quickly, if the three of you would come up, we have a little gift that we give each of the Scout troop members. And tell me your name. Cody. Stetson, thanks for helping us with the prayer. Madden.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, guys. It's good to see you here and involved. Is this for a merit badge?
It's for a special patch.
Oh, cool.
Participating.
Great. Good. Glad to have you. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at the minutes from the last meeting? We'll go through them. Are there any changes or corrections on page 1? Page 2? Page 3? If none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Mayor.
Motion by Aaron Wade, second.
I'll second that.
Second by Dustin White. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We've, as with our meetings now, we have a public comment period set aside at the beginning of each meeting where we allow the public to come and address the council. We ask that you limit it to 3 minutes. And if you do come forward, we ask that you come and address the council and state your name and address. So is there anyone here that would like to take advantage of that today? Hal?
Camera?
Yeah, it's looking at the back of your head.
Not all fun. Hal Hop, 450 East on 800 South. I see we're going to address traffic control evaluation for Weaver Road and Clubhouse Drive. On East South, gravel and mixed materials, roughly one lane. we have kids coming from the apartments going to school, our future leaders. And we have people flying by there. As a matter of fact, just before I left to come in, there's a lady came by there at 40 miles an hour. The way I've addressed that, I called dispatch, and they send a car down at 10:30 in the morning, not at 7:30. So from 7:30 to about 8:15, and then a let-out time about 2:45 to about 3:15. A lot of kids, but people flying by, on the phone, going both ways. I don't know how they do it, but anyway, that's my comment. So it's a hazard, and the last thing we need is to have a youngster hit. And, so,
Absolutely.
not directed to anyone, just but it's
Yeah.
a comment.
That's, appreciate you coming and voicing that concern, and
Appreciate you.
we'll get with the ones that can take care of that for us.
They can do it. They just send a car down, but he'll spin there at the wrong time, and he'll get called away. I mean, he's got other things to do too, so.
Sure.
Anyway, appreciate it.
We'll look at that. Thanks, Hal. Appreciate it. Anybody else have anything that they'd like to comment? If not, we'll move forward. We do have a public hearing, but we'll go to a few other agenda items. First of all, Housing Authority Board reappointment. We have Ryan Claiborne here. He served on the Housing Authority Board previously. His term was up almost a year ago, or a little over a year ago, and he's been serving there. We did advertise a while back and didn't get anybody there that had showed any interest, so we've asked him to continue serving there and wanted to make it official tonight. So would like to present him to the council to be reappointed to the Housing Authority Board, and I'd entertain a motion to do that.
Also move, Mayor.
Moved by Councilman Labrum,
Second.
second by Councilman Wade. I did look, and we don't have to do a roll call vote on this actual thing. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, looks like you're back in.
Are we ready to swear him in?
Yep, if you'd like to do that, Carolyn, that'd be great.
Yeah. Would you like to stand up here so she can take a picture of us?
I'm avoiding that one. Where do you want me?
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Ryan Claiborne,
I, Ryan Claiborne,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and I will discharge the duties
The duties of my office
of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Everybody will have to sign this.
It might be this 8 south. Some of them, but I don't know that it's all of them.
If I miss something on the agenda.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you doing that.
Probably
He said he's only been there 10 years, and he wants
James Cove
going for 20.
sewer project.
Good deal, thanks. We're moving right along, so we'll go to the next one. We have, I saw Clarissa with us, Lundstrom. She came last time, and there was a little confusion. We're glad you're back.
Welcome back. Thanks for having me again. So I was trying to get my business license for the daycare so we can get a few more kids in and some employees, so we're helping the community a little more. We currently have 4 kids right now. We're looking to expand that between 10 and 16 with possibly 3 to 4 employees besides myself.
I looked through the packet that we had, and it looks like you went to planning and zoning.
I did.
You had your site plan done,
Yeah,
and it was approved there, correct?
correct.
Okay. Is there any questions for Carissa? Clarissa while she's here. Okay, no questions. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Mayor.
I have a motion to approve by Aaron Waite. Second by Councilman Burdick. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. So,
Thank you.
thank you
Take good care of them.
I will.
and good luck.
Yes.
Do we have Thomas Kimball here with us? We might as well get you in and out of here.
Yeah,
We have some time.
Time for dinner.
Yeah. How are you doing?
Good.
Good.
Hey, I'm proposing to do a ice cream and soda shack here in Roosevelt. And so I'm here now. I went to planning and zoning and showed them all my drawings and everything, and was approved there. And I guess this is the next step. So,
Perfect. And this is the same place where Pappy's was, right there by Pink's. Is
Correct.
that correct?
yeah, we're gonna pull the trailer out. I'm gonna put a little 10 by 20 building in there, or just a shed type thing. But
Okay.
make an ice cream house out of it. There's not one of those in town, I don't think, that.
Not that I've seen.
So, I think Roosevelt needs one, especially come summer.
Yeah. I think it'd be great. Are there any questions on the site plan or the?
I just want to say I appreciate you using the alley as an exit way on the site plan. I think that helps clear up many challenges getting on up Highway 40 right there. If I reviewed it, I'd make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second it.
Second by Councilman Labrum. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You're
I'm in.
passed.
Thank you guys, you have a great evening.
You
You
too.
too.
Thanks.
Good
Thomas.
luck to you on it.
Thank you.
Boy, we better slow down or we're gonna be done way too soon. Kelly, we do have you. You have about 8 minutes. Do you think that's something you can present in about 8 minutes?
Sure.
Okay, let's have you come forward and let us know. This is the traffic control evaluation. This is a Reeville Road and Clubhouse Drive. There has been some people in that area that have had some concerns with this intersection, and maybe Ryan, you can give us a little better understanding of what's been done. real
Yeah,
quick.
so the evaluation, first to look at it, we had an issue brought up. As is our standard practice, Public Works went out, looked at it with the Public Works Director and the street superintendent, went, looked, we had a yield sign. We said, you know what, at this point, let's move that to a stop sign. The police chief concurred with that, and said, you know what, that's it. We had some more feedback from public on different directions. Some indicated, you know, maybe just putting a stop sign at Clubhouse, maybe on the north side or the south side. And because there became enough differing opinions, and that the next step that the city takes is to hire an engineer to evaluate it. They take out and put tubes down on the road, you know, measure the amount of traffic that goes through those, and they evaluate the site condition and that, and then come back with a report, and that's they always come back and can issue us our report and let us know what he thinks, and then at that point, the council could discuss if that's the way you want to go. From staff perspective, we were fine with where it was. We're fine with the additional traffic signage if that's what's needed. And it sounds like from the study, not to give a spoiler, but
Yes.
sounds like there's potentially more traffic control devices that could be used. So anyway, I don't really want to talk about counts, map, what you want to do. So
Well, just to give you a little background too. So my name's Kelly Ash. I work for Horrocks Engineers, and it's been a pleasure to work with city staff on this and amongst other projects we've had. The basis for the study that we did, we follow the national and state guidelines that we have. as far as roadway design goes, what we used was the AASHTO Green Book, which is basically the national standard for roadway design, which kind of outlines the site distance requirements, which is kind of the basis for our recommendation. The Utah MUTCD, the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, was also used, and there are specific warrants when it comes to when should you put in an all-way stop, when can you put in a yield sign, just the stop sign, and so forth. As was mentioned, we put out our pneumatic tube counters, got the traffic volumes in there. The volumes really aren't that high, considering this is considered a collector road. We often see a lot of higher volumes, but they're more in the range of a local street. And the speeds were, around 25 miles per hour. Ultimately, our recommendation was in the study is to put in an all-way stop on all 3 lanes. And the main reason for that is the limited sight distance on that south east corner of the intersection. There's a fence that comes right up to the curb and vegetation that limits sight distance. In the report, we outlined in the table, right there, table 2, just the sight distance that's required from different places. So that far column for a stop control, you require 280 feet of sight distance along the other legs of the intersection. So if you'll scroll back up to one of the first figures right here, we pulled this out of that AASHTO Green Book, and it shows those sight triangles that you have to have. So that distance B, that 280, is measured along the cross street there, and we measure that 20.5 feet for a stop condition from the center of the lane, and we weren't able to meet that criteria. Now, we didn't meet the volume warrants, and there haven't been, from the data that we looked at, we did look at the state database for crashes, and there's no reported crashes that we're aware of at the intersection. So, but just based on limited sight distance, felt like we needed to recommend an all-way stop.
Thank you, and thank you for the research that you've done. Does anyone have any questions for Kelly on that intersection?
You drove that a lot, didn't you, JR?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, what do you felt?
There's honestly, so if you're coming from Clubhouse Drive, hitting Arriva and making the left, I used to live there. I'm not the one that had the concern, by the way. But there were always, when somebody was coming and turning left on Arriva, and you'd have somebody going straight on Arriva, that was the most dangerous. And neither one of them have anything to stop them from just driving through. And so my thought, as this became a concern, and I talked about it with the city manager, is if you could stop the traffic coming from Clubhouse Drive so that they were stopped watching to see if somebody was going to come straight or make a right-hand turn, I think you would avoid most potential conflicts there, if not all. But but that's just my observation. No, I didn't do anything other than just my experience living there. That was the biggest concern, is somebody going straight and somebody coming off of Clubhouse with no traffic stop or no nothing there. So yes.
So I actually went up there today just to kind of look at it prior to this meeting, and as I pulled up, coming up Clubhouse Drive, and I stopped there, even though there's no stop sign, a car kind of zoomed straight across that subdivision going northbound on Arriva Road, and there was no stop sign. And so I kind of saw that it's definitely a dangerous situation as it sits right now.
Yeah.
And I think at a minimum what JR is suggesting is good, but I'm all for whatever's safest myself. So.
And that, in your study, that may have been an option had the sight distances met the criteria for that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you had a sidewalk on that corner that set back the fence, and then you push that. If you had that sight triangle there, then yeah, you wouldn't need the hallway stop.
Mhm.
It'd be an unnecessary stop. So I guess that could be another option, but sometimes that's hard to have a citizen move their fence back when it's already in place. So.
They've had a yield. Has there ever been a stop sign? Wasn't there a stop sign up there?
No, if you come from the north to
Headed
the
south,
south, there
there's
was a yield there, but that was
That's the only one.
the only one, and really, it, in my opinion, that
was
was
the
the
least-
least effective spot, right? Because there's not a lot of traffic coming that way. There's always traffic going the other two directions. More traffic in my mind going the other two directions. So.
And I'll just add, when it comes to deciding between a stop sign and a yield sign, a yield sign actually requires more sight distance because it assumes that,
No one's going to stop.
yeah, that they're making the decision as they're approaching the intersection at that speed, and so we're definitely far from that, so
Yeah.
stop signs.
The stop sign coming from Clubhouse intersecting Arriva would, in my mind, living there and being there would be the most effective way to curb that. But
Headed west on Clubhouse. Then right
yeah,
there.
yep. But ultimately, I guess if we do anything other than what is recommended by the engineer, then we assume some liability with that. So it's something that we can make a decision now, or if we want to think about it for, until the next meeting.
Do either.
I mean, I'm actually prepared to make a motion, having spent a lot of time on that road myself. I appreciate the study that's done. I think given the traffic control plan study that's been done and just the general improvement of the intersection, I'd say we would adopt the recommendation and install, have it become a three-way stop.
We have a motion by
Second.
Assembly.
That, yeah.
No, they-
Which one?
Either one of us,
Closest
the
one.
Daves, yeah, we're good.
A second by Councilman Baird. Any other discussion on that? Thank you, Kelly. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
One item that you should know is that Kelly's here to pinch hit for Chuck that would normally have been here. 'Cause Chuck was getting married today in Hawaii.
Nice.
If you had gotten your invitations,
Boy, you lucked out on that one.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks again. Ryan, would you, we're
I'll
on
start us off.
time for our public hearing, so yeah, if you'll
Perfect.
kind of give us some update on that.
Perfect. Let me just read a little note and I'll have it added to the minutes. But this project includes new water, sewer, and storm drain and asphalt for 800 South from State Street to 500 East. It also includes the drainage in State Street, road widening, and safety measures. In addition, the project will include various improvements in the northeast area of the city. We have gone after various other funding sources for help on this project. We have also spent the past few years saving for the project. We currently have $1 million in city funds going into the project as well as $273,000 from CDBG, $335,000 from the Federal Highway, and $1.6 million from UDOT Joint Highway Commission. We're looking for $1.4 million from CIB to finish the project, and we're looking for that as a grant. The amount is just under 30% of the project from CIB. Since the city has already put in significant amount of cash, we would be asking to receive no loan. We had to put in the cash due to the needed construction on State Street and other areas, so the portion, the $1 million from the city has already been expended towards the project. So taking out a loan wouldn't help that because we've already expended those funds. At that point, the project will include a curb gutter and sidewalk on both sides of 800 South. This also includes the sewer and the asphalt to finish this. So we would finish it, our hope is that we'd finish this project, at least the 8 South portion, before school starts this coming fall. So anyway, and then additional details, I turned to Troy to give us any additional details or answer the more specific questions. Troy was the engineer on the project. So that's all right.
Yeah, Troy, do you have anything to add?
No, I think Ryan covered it very well with everything that he did there. As he stated, Matt, this has been a project that has been being put together for several years to get to this point. You saw a lot of the work happen last year with getting the storm drain in a pipe going down State Street, and you saw the chip seals and those parts of the project being completed around various locations around the city. That's all part of this overall project, to bring that all together and to finalize all of that into a single project. We've made applications, as Ryan said, and received funds from CDBG. That funding is going to do the water line and storm drain in 800 South. Then the $345,000 that he talked about in the federal grant, that is from small urban TAP funds, which is transportation alternative, that the Joint Highway Committee awarded Roosevelt City. That will put the curb gutter and sidewalk in on 800 South. And so this application going to CIP does the rest of the work to get the sewer line in, to make sure the storm drain is completed. So this ties the storm drain system on State Street across to take overflow when we have a storm like you had a couple of years ago there. This will help to alleviate and take part of that water away from State Street, take it over to the gulch along 800 South. And so with that, I'll just answer any questions you might have.
One thing that I'd like to mention first of all is this was a project that when I was on the city council before was one that we had looked at, yeah. And so to have it this close to being finished, and you know, at one time it was, you know, one side getting sidewalk and not the other, and all those things, to have it a complete project like this, and not only that, but to look at the CBDG funds and those types of things, and work with UBAG on that. That's just, I think it's been a really good collaborative effort, and really appreciate the work that's been done there. I know that will address your concern, although it will be towards the fall, but so we'll see what we can do in the meantime. But just a great project. Appreciate all the work that's gone into that. I'm excited to see this being done.
Is there more like going from 800 South north to finish off our State Street? Is that, where are we at on that,
State
Ryan?
Street, we have that one. I have that in my manager's report. I could report on that.
Okay,
But
that's
we have just received that funding at this last Joint Highway Commission meeting. We
Great.
That was the 1.5.
But yes, but in
Okay.
2022, we built.
that's when that one will be. Okay.
And then that will finish it all the way to 3rd South, which then we have sidewalks and a fairly good road from there all the way. It'll have us have a sidewalk all the way from 1800 to Highway 121. So we'll have
That's
a sidewalk
terrific.
all the way through.
It's been that was quite a flood zone down there during that time.
This will be great. Any other questions or comments for Troy?
I just want to mention about that. We were just talking about, I went out to that Joint Highway Committee where we got the 1.5, and Troy and Ryan did an excellent job of presenting that before the committee, and I just want to express my appreciation.
Great.
It always helps when we can get those funds to bring back, you know, when we start talking about 1.5 million, and that gets to be 93% grant and 7% match. That's pretty good money to be able to complete a project like that. So,
I would do it every day.
Yeah.
yeah, I'd take all I could get from my business if I could get somebody to do that for me.
That'd be nice.
Great. Well, thanks, Troy. Any other comments?
It's nice to have the Osler blood back on
Yeah.
this side of the fence, so, you know,
This is always home.
it is. Thank you.
Thank
Troy.
you. With that, we'll go ahead and consider ourselves in public hearing, and if there are any comments from the public, we'd entertain those comments at this time. Any concerns, questions? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Brady?
One comment, actually.
Oh, yeah,
That-
come forward.
Sorry.
Sorry, I should have made the rule.
That, you know, where you go on Neola Highway where they got the flashers now,
Yeah,
where it goes right there in your 45 mile an hour. Can you get that changed so it's the same as the school? Or is there a reason those are always flashing? Because I feel like it's just noise now. You drive past. The first time I seen it and I was going up Neola Highway, I was like, "Er." Now I've got a horse trailer on and I don't even tap the brakes, you know? Have you seen that?
I have seen it, yeah.
There's a lot of truth to that. It becomes commonplace.
It does,
Yeah.
so I wasn't sure if you could have that on a timer, I don't know if you could automate that, so it was on the same schedule as that, or if there was even a push button where somebody would actually walking across that. I'm not sure automation wise, I know that it's came a long ways, it'd be pretty.
That's a good thought. We can
look into it.
yeah, we can look into that for you and let you
I
know.
was thinking about that, I thought that's when I
I
seen
think-
that,
Being back on the council when that happened, I think the community up around there really wanted it year-round and about all the time. That was a desire from them,
okay,
because the kids use that not just during the school time.
yeah.
So that was one of the reasons why that ended up that way.
But even if it was a push button, you know, like, then it flashed, you know, then as soon as they pushed it, then it was on. And then, you know, kids are gonna push it, and that's something they like to do.
That's something we can definitely consider.
Just a thought. I wasn't sure, I knew the power was there, because it's gotta be there on each side of the road to get there, I just wasn't sure.
Clubhouse Drive meets.
We can save that for another.
Little crosswalk.
Maybe we can come back to our next meeting. We'll give you 3 minutes at the beginning, and we'll tell you what we've decided. Okay.
Brady, I can give you a little more insight on that. The state of Utah has some fairly strict regulations that they impose on that intersection. They went through a large study to tell us what could and couldn't happen there. I think it's great, the city manager to follow up on that, but it may be something that we don't have a lot of control of.
Okay, that has to stay
Yeah.
at all times, since it is a designated crosswalk there. I understand that, I just, you know,
I'm just like you.
how
I have to remind myself I gotta slow down there too, because it's a natural habit. You come over the hill or you're headed out and you just, I don't know, your foot starts to
yeah.
go.
Do you have the orange flags?
They have been in the past. I know they have.
But let's,
I don't know if they're there now, but
They usually do really well till summertime when it's time to go to Bottle Hollow with your ski boat and you've got your flag. They disappear.
that's definitely something we should address, but maybe at another meeting. Back to 8 South, but appreciate you bringing that up. Any comments for 8 South, that particular project?
Appreciate everything that's being done. Can't wait till we get done.
Me too. All right, well, I'd entertain a motion to approve the CID. Or,
We've already had it approved through council, allow us
Okay.
to move forward. This is just the public to gain input. So
so,
you need a motion.
We
You
got-
both have any motion you want, but
hey, we're moving forward.
let's have to close the meeting.
So, we'll go ahead and consider ourselves back in regular meeting and close the public meeting, so. Thanks for the input. And again, thanks for all the work that's been done there. Appreciate it. Has everyone had a chance to look at the purchase orders?
yes. I make a motion, we approve them.
Motion to approve purchase orders by Councilman Labrum,
I'll second that.
second by Councilman White. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Reports from standing committees. Dave, Councilman Labrum?
I just the only one is we met as a group, or some of us that have been assigned on the Johnson Water issue and concerns, and that we had real good meeting last week with the city manager and finance, and also the attorney came in and talked. And I feel like we're moving in the right directions in trying to be prepared. So I've been very pleased with all the movement and all the research on our behalf to get us prepared more, and your questions that you asked, Mayor, for it. So that's what I've been involved in.
All that information was sent today in an email to
It
everyone,
was.
wasn't it?
Yep, it was. And it might be, because John is, his IQ is about double mine, so he had to explain that. So if you guys need any explanation on how those spreadsheets work, you can get with him and have him explain that a little better. One of the things after we'd met, and I'll just report it now since you brought it up, because that was basically the only thing I had to talk on, is that we looked at the numbers and trying to figure out what scenario would be best, redefining a border, how much that would cost with, and going into the legalities and what we'd be looking at as far as purchasing some infrastructure or doing something in that way. And then some other options that came available. As I stuck around and had John really go through those numbers with me, and I asked quite a few more questions. And, we had a few different thoughts on maybe how to keep it as simple and clean cut as we possibly could. And so one of the things we thought of prior is to try to come up with a price to sell them water at, and working that out. And it just, looking at the numbers, John, you can maybe attest to this, and Ryan, but to come up with a number that I think they would be satisfied with is going to be very difficult, because of looking at our costs and depreciation and replacement costs and those types of things, and adding everything into it really, for me, gave me a really good idea of what it takes to run our system. And so we thought maybe the easiest thing would be to look at more of a royalty or a tax type thing, where per 1,000 gallons we would pay them a small royalty for each 1,000 gallons that went into their area. And anyway, that's something I think we ought to look at more as a council. Maybe we could explain to Councilman White and yourself kind of how we come to that, but also leaving those other ones on the table too for consideration. But
it was getting pretty complicated to get a real true cost basis and then try to think about it in the future. I think something like that's really worthy, and especially where it can adjust reasonably for each.
Yes.
Without having to worry about all the costs of everything. But
It's one of the thoughts that I've been having since some of the comments made by their side. They want us to treat anything over and above what we already do as just, it's free. It doesn't cost us any extra to do that. I think going through the numbers and doing that first and saying, if we're to really put a price on this is how we have to figure that price.
Sure.
So to them, that might help them get off of that it's just a...
Well, the good thing is the report, I did talk to Dallas as instructed, and we had a very good conversation.
Great.
And I did pitch that idea to him, and I told him that we were looking at several different options, but, and pitched that one to him, and he says, I really think that would work really well. So I was very encouraged when I got off the phone with him that we could get this thing done fairly quickly. So I asked him to go to his board and to talk to them about that and see if they'd be open to that idea, and to also consider what they would think was fair. And then on our side, I think we have to do the same. And if the mechanism is solid, and we agree on that, then all we have to then agree on is the price per gallon, per 1,000, and it could fly immediately. And it would allow us to do what we need to in their area. And I told Dallas, I said, really, we can't look at it as making money or anything, because really the purpose between what we're doing, between Roosevelt City and Johnson, is to provide a service to those that are currently here and to the future growth of that area. And really that should be our only purpose in doing what we're doing. And so whoever can best serve that person should be able to do that. And then there's also the compensation side that will take care of the rest of the issues. He was very favorable to that, and I think if we could agree ourselves as a council on some of those things, and I think it could fly very quickly with their board, and we could get this done very quickly. One of the things I did mention to him, and I thought that came was, they actually wants to test the line to see how much, just to prove that line, to see how much volume they're going to get. And I talked to Dallas about that, and I said, Dallas, I think it would be fair if we just, whatever agreement we come up with, I'm confident we can get it done in 2018. Whatever we come up with, we just make it effective January 1st, 2018. So that if we need to push water into their area and do some of those things, there isn't a question as to, are they going to be compensated for that? And it really, he was very happy with that. So
That's great, because they were really concerned about that. That's great.
So anyway, that's just a little extra that kind of happened in between now and then. So great. Councilman White, do you have anything for us?
I don't have anything to report.
Councilman Baird?
Nothing to report today, Mayor.
And I just said my piece. Councilman Waite?
Nothing new, and just express our appreciation for the good work that's happening in capital facilities. The backside of that story too, that some don't understand, the good planning that really our city staff went through to put us in the position we are on 8 South. Give them the credit for that. It was a long-range view and a long-term look that as a council we brought into a few years ago, but it's going to come to fruition, and just compliment them on that work and the work of engineering firms that have been involved. It's been a very good process, and we're all excited. We're going to be very excited when we see Mr. Huff here with a picture of a new asphalt road in front of his house.
And sidewalks.
We may have to put some speed bumps in that. One thing I'd like to mention too, and the city staff, the engineers, but really we have some good help from UBAG. I know we have some decent relationships there with Lori and Kevin, and appreciate them in helping us with that also. They've been an asset to us. So, been good.
Good project.
Councilman Burdick.
Well, today, the mayor and manager Ryan Snow and I took a ride down to Stonegate to the sewer project and toured that. It's looking really quite well.
Thank you.
Things are moving right along, and even on a day like today, those buckets going in and out of the ground. I think there was 4 crews. It's looking really good. I was pretty pessimistic about the whole thing, just because of the constructability of it. I think there was a lot of people in town that thought it was going to be a humongous mess, and I think it's turning out better than what had been planned, which is good for everybody. So, anyway, that's pretty much it. It's nice that we had the winter to do that, but doesn't do much for the water.
Yeah.
So they should look on the bright side.
Thanks, Councilman Burdick. Eric, appreciate you being here too, and appreciate the work that you've done there and fielding some of those hard questions and dealing with, some of the concerns and making sure that project is running well. Appreciate what you do there. So, Brian, report from the city manager.
Great. Well, Stonegate is going fairly well. We're it's gonna be a whirlwind here in the next couple of months. It's going towards ground zero, so all those 4 crews are coming right into the subdivision at this point. We've got a lot of the exterior done. We've got the line that we've almost finished connecting there at the wash. We're still working on that one. But once they finish at the wash, they'll start coming up and start connecting on laterals. So we're excited about that within the next couple of weeks. So yeah, but at this point, it's only going to get worse for them. We know that, we understand that, we have sympathy for that. But if they can weather the next few months, it does get better. But it'll start to really affect them. And so we're conscious of that. We've had the contractor keep a active Facebook page. We keep an active Facebook page. We have the minutes of each of the meetings going out to an email group so that they're informed. Our desire is to make sure that the group is as informed as possible. And I've challenged the engineer and the contractor on a 90% happy. You know, if we can keep 90% of the population out there happy with it, then that's where we're going, right? So we know we can't make everybody happy.
Hey, if you got 90%
But we're working
approval
towards
rating, you should run for president.
No, just the next sewer project. So, but at this point, that's what we're working for, and that's the goals we have. A few things to kind of share with you. Met with the contractor of Burger King. They're getting ready to make progress there within the next few months. We have worked with UDOT with our sidewalk, and we're progressing there. And so it will be within our approved amount that we had before that we talked about that council's approved. So it's fitting in there. Actually, it almost is roughly 60% of what we thought it'd be. So we're quite excited about that. Once we have that one, then we'll make the application for the extension of the sidewalk from state to the cemetery, and that's the next one on Highway 40. We'd like to extend the sidewalks on. We are working with the schools and East Elementary in particular to be able to get sidewalks put around East Elementary and some of the different side roads. We've gotten a map from them. We're working with Jones and Mill, and Brenda is working with us to be able to make application for sidewalks there. We've applied previously and got rejected, so this is our second time at it. But we're tenacious. We're not willing to quit on it. So we're not sure that we'll get the money, but we're hopeful, and so we keep going. It's a good pot that we can look at. We're working on a grant for public safety equipment. I think we're working on that with the fire chief. The police chief has a grant with some of those, so we're working on that. To cover, we went to Joint Highway Commission. We appreciate the other one that is there. Troy and I presented, but we were fortunate that John is on the committee, so that always helps. So that was helpful. Another few projects that were presented at that time was Trail Master Plan for the county, which was approved, which we're excited about, and we spoke in favor of that. And also 1500 East in Ballard, from Highway 40 to 1000 South. That's what we call 8 South. And we spoke in favor of their project as well, and it was funded. So they're working towards finishing 1500 while we're working towards finishing State Street. And then our joint goals after that would be to connect 8 South, connect us, so that's a path across. We've mentioned that, and they've mentioned that, and that's part of their master plans. And we were invited, when they were doing their master plans, we were invited to work with them, and we'd like to be able to connect those. And so that would be the next round of funding for that joint highway cost. And both of us, both Ballard and Roosevelt, are looking at that one. So anyway, just so that you're aware of what we're working on that way. Couple of things. One other item on Friday, we got notice of a bill that's being presented in the Natural Resource Committee at the state. It would require independent financials of in-city and out-of-city water connections. It would require us to put in several more master meters, several additional requirements, and it has been, as you've seen, our calculations separating just culinary, secondary, and storm drain. Trying to break that out was a fairly good calculation. John's done an amazing job to do that, but the next layer of that, to be able to separate that by in-city and out-city, would be something that would take an extreme amount of time, especially where our feeds come from out of the city and then we service in and it may then go back out. Because of that tapestry, it's very difficult. So I communicated with the bill sponsor and some of the other committee members, and it was held, but it is going to come back up tomorrow morning. And so there is some desire from the bill sponsor to be able to have that. She's talking that she'd like it for transparency's sake. The problem is we're saying it would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars for us to actually have an actual number to do that. And if it's just transparency for a number we can guess at, then it's not true transparency. We're saying, hey, unless it's meaningful, there's no requirement. The state engineer's office had also spoke against the bill, and we've talked to our representative, and she's opposed to the bill. And I communicated just before this meeting with Scott Chu, and he's on the committee, and he's opposed to the bill. So we're hoping to stop the bill, more not out of a lack of desire for transparency, because we do have a culture of transparency. We've put everything on our website. We've opened up, I think, our social media has done a very good job at transparency. We believe in transparency as a culture, as a city culture, as a staff. I believe we believe in that. But transparency, if there's no meaning to it, is a tough one. So,
Who's the bill sponsor? What's the bill
Tim
number?
Coleman is the bill sponsor, and it is House Bill 124, I believe.
And is the Utah League of City and Towns, where are they on this bill?
I met with them. I went out actually to Salt Lake, met with the league staff, and they have, I visited with them, and they've been opposed to the bill as well. There is another bill that's there in a different committee by a different person, but that would be requiring secondary water to be metered throughout. Now, fortunately, we meter that, but a lot of cities don't, and it would be a major requirement for a lot of cities and other entities, and possibly water districts and irrigation companies. But the requirement to be able to start metering secondary water is also one that's being discussed. So, from a legislative standpoint, we have a need to make sure we're actively engaged. I'm trying to do my part, and any part that you can play. It's great, and if you want to communicate with those that you're watching, let me know as well.
Is that something that is discussed on those Monday meetings?
It came out through a daily recap of the bills.
Okay.
And so that's where I saw it from the league. I was averted to it from the league. So,
Is there a Senate?
Kevin Van Tassel was signed on to be the Senate sponsor, so I need to contact him. There was not a Senate sponsor when I went out and communicated with him. So that has been new as of today. He's signed on as a Senate sponsor.
Bummer.
Yeah.
And I happen to know the senator and the representative really well.
It would be nice to have that requirement at least postponed until we can investigate the true, what you really want. If it's just revenue, that's one thing. If it's an independent financial statement, it's going to be very difficult. As you've seen, just separating what we have has been a fairly detailed one. And then to continue that, a lot of our projects are for multiple items. So
The good thing is as we work through what we're doing with Johnson Water, and we're trying to identify and we figure out how to separate and measure the water going to them, it may give us ideas on how to take care of the out-of-city connections and to monitor that. But
At this point, our
Yeah,
maps don't fit that way.
Anytime.
So it's not something we can just pull a quick report. We have to go in and pull every meter and pull every meter to do it.
well, and it's going to cost, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's, but
I think if you visit with Senator Van Tassel about it, have a good conversation about some of the concerns. I'm sure if Roosevelt City has concerns, many rural communities throughout the state have concerns, and municipalities that are larger than Roosevelt City have concerns as well, just because of the nature of what it would require.
probably more secluded issue to rural Utah than some of the bigger cities, I imagine as well.
What's
where the boundaries are-
interesting to me, and I don't know the all of the backing behind this or where they're coming from, but I would suspect that somewhere on the line is they want to have people account for every drop of water, and in areas like this where a lot of Utah's water originates from, and we've been able to use water and stuff. So I kind of think that's where a lot of the push behind this is from, is to try to free up water for bigger areas. Or
I think part of it may be too, being a government entity, they don't want us running it like a profit organization, for profit, and I wonder if they.
I think this one might be they don't want us to make a profit on out of city versus in city and gouge the out of cities. I don't think we do that, but that's not to say that other areas aren't doing that.
Right.
Just because we do it right doesn't mean everybody does. I assume we do it right because it's the way we do it. I don't know any better. A few other just pieces. We've worked with boys baseball. I think we know that they're open signups. One of the things we are working on is the fields. Our goal is to try to get those fields done. We'll bring in new dirt on number 4, and then we'll put the top surface treatment on 3 and 4. And so we hope to have 3, 4, and Central Parks fields done. We'll still need to have 1 and 2 and 5 to work on in future years. So another one we talked about at our last meeting, the trees. We have a bid on those. We have got that. We contacted 3 different ones to get us bids. We got 2 bids. One was a bit high, one was a couple $100 higher than the other per tree, but we're in the $500 to $700 per tree to have it cut, and another $250 or plus to have the stumps removed. And so we're looking at that, and the total price would be between $9,000 and $10,000. With your blessing, we're proceeding with that. I think that's what we asked to do. So we're proceeding.
And you got with, well, I'm sure you got with Drew, and he identified.
Drew, and I went out on site to see which trees. Drew was the one that got the quote. Has been working with that. So
How many trees?
there's 11.
11?
We'll be looking for.
Great. Great.
Yep, and they are on 800 South. They're along 800 South.
All of them are there.
Any plans for replacing those with something like a pine tree or something? I know that was a little bit of the discussion before.
We haven't at this point. The
But
nice thing is, when Eagle Scout projects come along, they
They can
like
do
to
something
plant
like that.
trees,
That's
and we
perfect.
can utilize them
Yep.
for some of that.
That's
So at this
perfect.
point, we haven't, but that's not a hard one for us
Oh, no.
to accomplish at some point.
In fact, I'd rather see, there's a lot of Eagle Scout, wanting to do things, and that would be perfect.
Would
If
be
we
a
could
great
just
one.
kind of get a plan of what we want to see there, and then give each one a section and say, go to
I
towns.
have a good in on the one that approves the Eagle Scout projects in West Lake, so.
Perfect.
I feed him all the Eagle Scout projects as it comes, and then I live in East Lake, so I feed him all. We're feeding him in all different trees.
Thanks for following up on that. That'll be good. That'll definitely get it done before Memorial Day.
Just a few other things to talk to you about, and then I'll wrap up. One, newsletters, you can see that. Our public information manager has helped to start doing that. We have found as we've surveyed and we've looked, that there is a desire for communication by email. We've done very good at our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We've got all the social media ones. She's doing an amazing job there. This is added and it's going through email. So that's where we're now looking to expand out and work on that. So she's done a great job. She'll write a write-up, summary of tonight's meeting, be able to send it out. I think we're hoping once to twice a month is kind of what we're looking at. So.
How do we, the public informations manager, how do we get the emails so that we have a good, is it something they can go on Facebook and say, hey, shoot me that? Or?
Yeah,
okay.
So we pulled the emails from the survey that we did last year. So that was kind of our base chunk of people. And there is a spot on the website right below the little buttons where you can enter your email, and it's like we're using another company that I do the newsletter but then upload it to their site and they send it out, and so it's easy if people want to unsubscribe from the newsletter, they don't want it, twice a month, things like that. And we've gotten quite a few people that have signed up for it through that. You can tell how many people have actually opened it, how many have interacted with it, maybe done something, followed a link or something like that. It also sends it, there's a feature on there that if someone hasn't opened it 2 or 3 days after it was sent, it resends it with a different subject, like 2 or 3 days later, and so it's been pretty effective so far.
I got an email for it.
I need to subscribe.
Caught in the spam, so at some point some are being caught there, so you can watch at that point.
If you're not getting it, go in and put your email address on that. It's really easy. Put it in.
And you're not selling email addresses, right?
Selling, no. Yeah.
So, thank you for doing that. One of the things that I just thought of, and it reminded me, last meeting we talked about that Kim Hells had resigned in the Basin Arts Council. Wonder if that's something that we need to advertise for to fill a position there. I know
I had heard that, I know Catherine Crapo was filling in temporarily, but I had heard that possibly she was the one going to actually take that over, but I don't know that the source I heard that from was.
I think they have, as a board, I think they have bylaws that they elect
their own chair.
Their own chair.
But as far as an appointment, I would have to look at that as well to make sure that if they need another person, not to appoint the chair, but actually another member of the Basin Arts Council.
I'd have to
I
look
don't know
to
if they
see
wanted to.
if they don't select their own. I'd have to look at their bylaws and see how that works. Maybe you've been there.
If you find those, will you send those to me?
Yeah.
Those bylaws.
That might be them.
You have it?
Well, I have a few things. I don't know if that's necessarily them. Well, I don't always keep things that I should. Does that look like?
Yeah, some of the election
Okay.
procedures, but the bylaws will actually outline terms. But yeah, that's part of it, though.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh,
Do you have anything else?
one last thing, discussion. I've been approached by a few of possible having business development have an incentive to come. And so I just bring that discussion up to one of the items that was mentioned, including alleyways. So anyway, just one of those, whether we improve alleyways, whether we have a performance-based system that has percentage of sales tax they brought into the city in the first year or two, whether that is just the council making a decision on case-by-case basis, whether that's having a criteria, maybe a age-based of a building, maybe it's located in a commercial area and been vacant for 2 years, or something. Maybe we set certain criteria that say, hey, on these criteria we'll do this much. Maybe that's dump fees, maybe that's a dollar amount. Anyway, kind of a discussion that the council, if you wanted to maybe discuss, we don't have it on the agenda, so wouldn't necessarily present it for motion or anything like that. But because I have had some of those discussions and interest expressed, I wanted to express that. And so that's the last of it on mine. So wherever you want to discuss those items.
And I don't know how much time we want to take on that. I think it'd be good to put some thought into that and look at different options. One of the things that I feel strongly about is whatever we do, it has to be something that there are parameters to. Instead of making a decision case-by-case basis, I think we ought to set some parameters if we're going to assist or participate in some of those things, so that as future businesses come, there's a set of rules that we are governed by that allow us to do certain things, and each one gets treated fairly.
And not over advantageous over the ones that have been there footing the bill all the time.
Correct. One of the things, this gets me really excited, to be honest, because one of the purposes of, I handed out the small breakdown that I had with the Economic Development Committee. And one of the main purposes of that committee would be to do just what we're talking about here, to identify and look at different areas of town and bring information and proactively prepare those, so that when a business comes, we're not reactive to that, we're proactive to that. And so hopefully as we get that a little more honed in on how that's going to work, and hopefully within the next month or month and a half we'll have a good idea, but hopefully these things will be a thing of the past. We were already prepared, we have the answers, we have things set in place to know how to react or not react, to act in that situation. And anyway, that was my 2 cents. I know I shot back an email just stating that my biggest concern is whatever we do can be applied equitably and fairly to other businesses, and I think we can do that. So those are my 2 cents.
Mayor, I appreciate what you said. I concur. I think what I'd like to have us put on the next agenda is our city manager to come back, or have somebody come back who's an expert in TIF, tax incremental financing, or discussions on some tax incremental reinvestment zones. Because I'm sensitive to what Councilman Labram said, and also aware that to get where we want to go, we're going to have to do things different than we've done in the past. That's why I think it makes a difference. It would make some sense to me that we have a reinvestment zone on different zones that we want to drive development in, that sends the right message. So I don't know enough about it, but I know there are folks out there that do. I would ask that we give the management team some time to get the professionals put together to bring it in and educate us on that thing.
And I would ask Councilman Burdick, he's assigned to economic development, and myself, and I think that would be good for us to be part of that discussion and things. As you're talking, that Western Hills is where we're talking, and that's been an eyesore in our town for a long time. And we have, Highway 40, where we have some same type of need there of revitalization, and we have some similar situations. And so as we implement and we decide how we're going to move forward with this, it can be applied to our Main Street and other areas of our town where there is a need to be revitalized, and there is a need to do something there to stimulate growth or change and things like that. And so I think this gives us a good opportunity. And I'll work to get with the city manager, but also to the council, some more ideas on that committee that, you know, I was talking with Councilman Burdick today. If we as councilmen and even as a city manager have so many different things that we're trying to oversee and look at and stay on top of, if we had a committee that was could drill down in that one specific area and really research that and bring information in that one area back to us, and also be of help to the staff, I think it's invaluable. I know Brady, he may want to serve on that. I don't know. He's shown some interest, but and we have great minds out there that can help us with those problems. And I think when we involve the public like that, also with the committee, helps us to get, you know, mitigate some of the concerns that you might have with people.
I like what you're saying. You establish a print and then we follow. And
yeah, and when we involve the public, then we kind of tend to avoid backlash, I guess, when it comes to some of the decisions that we make, and because they're participants in helping us make those decisions.
It's good. Have ownership.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to follow up on that, I know some of these are probably time sensitive. We appreciate when people come to the city, you know, seeking opportunity to reinvest in the city. I think we've got to be conscientious of their time and their desire to move forward. So I would just ask that as a council we move quickly in educating ourselves.
Sure.
And, you know, keep in mind that we want to move fast. It's not too fast, but fast enough that we keep it going in the right direction.
One of the things that I've asked to, and is just to try to identify what the potential benefit, something like that is for our area, so that helps us, you know, make a better decision also. You know, as far as how much to participate
I
or what we can do. So
yep.
That's one of the things that we've asked
Great.
or I've asked them to look at is the potential benefit, so we can weigh that against what they're needing. So. Good. Anything else, Ryan?
That's it, right? Trying to be concise. Covered a lot of things. We've done so in a short period of time, so.
Great. Thank you. To my knowledge, we're not going to do any of the city code tonight. Is that correct?
That's true. That's true. We weren't sure how long this one was, so we've moved it back. Hopefully you're all reviewing the code that was sent out to you earlier and you're ready for nice, long, enjoyable discussion next time.
Well,
Time after that. Whatever it is that we have.
One thing I'd like to try to do is get our suggestions in and read it, get our suggestions in. When we get the markup copy out, obviously make sure that we read that, and that way it's more of a any questions on this and an answer versus, I know Ryan, he gets hoarse sometimes explaining everything out, so.
And if you look at Title V, we've sent it out in the draft one before. If you look through some of the other pages and you have recommendations, it would be great, send them in. I can either mark who made the recommendation so that I can compile it, so that when it comes back to everybody, there's all of them identified out who made what recommendation, and you know we can note that. You know, I don't think you have to. You know, the more we can get input from each one and then compile it together and give to the whole, that could be some good efficiency.
Ryan, on one question I have, I read through some of those and wonder if I'm qualified to make suggestions, but one of the things that might be how much. Part of the other ones we had to do away with a lot of wording because of new state law. Right. And so can we weed those out prior to us reading them so we don't spend a lot of time saying, well, we should word it this way when in reality we don't even need it in there.
We've gone through one evaluation in code, made some, and we could go back and have another one of those done for specific items that says, okay, now we wanted it legal compliance. Now let's go in to say, all right, what's duplicate, and make recommendations. We could go back and have another legal review done. The last one was 60, 70 pages. It was really substantial.
Who normally catches that, like on the last one that we approved? Who catches the duplication in state code and everything else? Is that done in the initial review?
So if you, maybe it'd be helpful to walk through how the process is gonna work, and maybe that'll help answer that question. So generically, we take a chapter. I walk through, and my ideas are, what are we doing? What doesn't match what we're doing as a city? If we're currently not doing that, then I want to make you aware of that. And then what do we know of that's a conflict? So I'll go through and do my review. We've had some sent to Grant. He's done some reviews. So then we bring it maybe as a recommendation, open recommendation to the group, saying, hey, here's at least so you know what we're not doing. If you want us to do it, make sure that we know that. And then maybe say, hey, this matches with other code. Give you a recommendation of possibles, and then the hope would be, all right, where do we want it to go? Where does this ship want to direct? The 6 of you, we want to know, where do you want the ship to go? Then we take that, we'll take what we had, we'll get it into an ordinance, and Carolyn and the codification company will go through and put it in ordinance form. They'll do a partial review, make sure it's in legal compliance before they'll take it into codification. And then once it goes into codification, then at that point it becomes back under our city website and updated there.
So I guess the question would be addressing your concern or what you mentioned is when they go through the codification, is that when they find?
They'll do some comparison inside of that codification.
Okay.
So, but some of that's after work on.
I'm not trying to get out of reading it. I just don't want to have a good idea on something and come to the meeting and they say, oh, well, that doesn't meet the code. We're doing away with that anyway.
I get what you're saying. Maybe we can get together and look at that.
The codification company is the one that did our last legal review that we went through. We went through all those different items they had. That's who did that one. So we started with them that time.
Yeah.
So we could go back and start with them that way again and say, hey, we want you to make sure that there's no duplication, that there's no, and give them an outline. Now that we know better, first time it was like, hey, give us the 30,000 view corrections, help us out with that so that we know that we're starting with something, and the more we pare down, the better we're gonna get. And we can have them do some of those if we wanted.
I think maybe just to simplify it, if I'm hearing something correctly, and when you send out the red line edition, if you just put a comment on there, this is state law. State law's changed, or this is an efficiency recommendation or something. I would do the same thing. I wouldn't be reading things that had anything to do with state law. I trust 100% that our staff's gonna be working legally to get that correct. Then the recommendation stuff's probably where I'd have a little bit more interest. But maybe that would help just speed that up. And maybe that helps you as well, so that you're not trying to have to explain too many things to all of us.
Yeah. And we can do it. It really depends on how much depth it goes. And maybe it's, oftentimes in the legislature they have subcommittees that deal with it on an individual basis, and we take a few of those and we go through in a depth. And what the legislature would do is go through that by a committee and then report that back up to a whole. It's kind of following the legislative approach, and maybe that's a good one, because then we can go through, maybe there's some that are more interested in one area than another, and you could divide it up between councilmen, and then we could work with each councilman. I think staff's a little reluctant to get too far in, because we don't want to overstep into a legislative role, and we're very cautious that we don't want in there.
I think the biggest thing is just the identifying the immediate conflicts with state law and those types of things, and not trying to persuade or put your opinion in as much as just identifying the for sure black and white, this is no longer needed, it's obsolete, or this is changed, or this is in state code, we can take it out of our ordinance, because for those types of issues, I think.
Well, that was really my question, because I've got I think the first part of this one was redlined, but the rest of it that's not redlined, if I read through it, I have no idea if
Right.
codes have changed. So
Right.
if I just
Trying
need to
get rid of
wait
the
for the
idea.
next redline part to where I don't have to worry about that, then I'm good. I just didn't want to have to work off of this copy and think that I was going to add anything useful.
Okay.
Is there any need for a closed session? I'm not aware of any, but. Okay. Any other just topics of discussion before we adjourn? Seeing none, I'd entertain the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Councilman Waite and Councilman Dustin White, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?